Not wanting to be overshadowed by their arch rival BMW, Mercedes-Benz has finally taken the wraps off the fully redesigned 2020 GLS class. I'm at the 2019 New York International Auto Show. Let's take a first look. Most of you will probably remember the GLS class as the old GL. Remember, this is Mercedes' biggest crossover vehicle. It's supposed to be the S-class of SUVs. At least when they refreshed the car a couple of years ago and changed the name, it was mostly just a refresh and wasn't a full redesign. This is now the full redesign, and although you have to squint at it, this is the all-new model. Now, looking at the actual look of this new GLS class, you can see it takes some influence from some of their newest SUVs, the new GLE, the new GLC. You've got these LED headlights on this particular one here. It's got more traditional grille. Remember, these are not AMG models. They even have these little fake looking vents down here, which I'm not really a big fan of. No fog lights as well, but I do like the chrome that they put on this. I mean, overall, it still looks like a GLS SUV. I'm not sure if it looks like the S-class of SUVs, but it definitely has a big presence to it. This is the biggest SUV that Mercedes-Benz makes. Now, underneath the hood, you're gonna have a choice of two engines. There's the GLS 450, which is a 3-liter straight six with their EQ electric mild hybrid boost technology, 362 horsepower. If you guys want more power, there is a V8 available. It's the GLS 580, which has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with the EQ, the hybrid boost technology. That'll make 483 horsepower and 516 foot-pounds of torque. All of them use a 9-speed automatic with 4-matic all-wheel drive as standard. Remember, these are just the standard models. Now, as if the old GLS wasn't big enough, Mercedes actually made this new one even larger. Its overall length has been stretched by 3 inches, so it's now measuring 205 inches long, and its wheelbase is 123.4 inches long. This is one of the bigger entries in the segment. It's bigger than BMW's new X7, which will be the direct competitor to this vehicle. Now, looking at the wheel options, this one here has a 21-inch wheel. I imagine you can probably go up to a 22-inch wheel if you guys would like to add like their AMG Sport package. It's riding on 275/45 series tires. And you're also probably wondering, air suspension is standard equipment across the board. It will vary the ground clearance depending on whether you have this vehicle in its sport mode or in its off-road setting. Now, the rest of the silhouette, you can see, it's pretty traditional looking. It looks like a 3-box SUV. Mercedes didn't try to give it any swoopy coupe looks. Remember, this is supposed to be a practical family vehicle, which is why they gave it a more traditional look to it. Now, at the back, you can see they took a lot of styling influence from the smaller GLC crossover, so it kind of just looks like a pumped up GLC in the form of the GLS. This one here is the 450 model. As you can see, it's got LED taillights, a nice chrome strip that goes in between the taillights, and then some more chrome strip down here. And then Mercedes also does a nicely integrated dual exhaust, which looks good. Just keep in mind there will be an AMG model coming, which will probably have its own unique exhaust. Now, in terms of the cargo area, I don't have the official numbers yet for the cargo area, but as you can see, with the third row seat up, there's a surprising amount of space. It kind of is very comparable to what I've seen in the new Kia Telluride or the Volkswagen Atlas, which again, this car does not compete with those vehicles, but it will roughly fall into the same category in terms of the size. Now, looking at the inside of the all-new GLS, remember, this is supposed to be the S-class of SUVs. I have to say, I'm very impressed with what Mercedes is doing in their current crop of products. 2 massive 12-inch screens basically sit in front of the driver. You've got a 12-inch screen here, a 12-inch screen here for the MBUX infotainment system. It's basically the new system where it works like a smartphone, where you could literally say something like, hey Mercedes, find me the nearest gas station. It'll try to find you your nearest gas station based on your location. It all looks very nice. In terms of the rest of the interior, this is a Mercedes. You expect top quality interior stitching and appointments. You've got real leather kind of accenting the dashboard here. You have this beautiful matte finish wood that actually looks real, feels real. It is real wood. You've got more stitching down here on the lower part of the dash. You've got switches and whatnot that feel really expensive, really high quality. I mean, I wouldn't expect less in a Mercedes. The door panel is all soft touch. You have heated and cooled seats. You can actually control the seat on the passenger side from this side. Everything in here just feels really nice. Now, the steering wheel, I actually really like the steering wheel as well. It's got more of that really smooth wood grain, really nice leather. Lots of buttons in here. This car can get a little bit overwhelming, especially if you guys aren't used to being in a Mercedes-Benz product. Now, you can see, looking at the infotainment system, you can control it from the little touchpad over here if you'd like, or it's also a touchscreen. So I like the fact that they're giving you both options. I'm seeing that theme kind of in a lot of the other manufacturers. It does include things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Opening up this center console over here, you can see large cup holders, very good storage, USB port, 2 USB ports. You have another storage console over here with another USB. This controls the air suspension where you can raise and lower it. It's got a pretty decent, wow, it's a massive glove box with their air fragrance thing where you can actually change the way this thing smells on the inside. You can buy the scents and whatnot. That's like a $300 option that Mercedes tends to do. The seats, these are the upgraded leather seats, which feel really nice. They're comfortable. I mean, this is the car that you're going to put your family in, go on a long road trip in, and they really thought about all the details in here, and they've added the tech to now bring it into the modern era. But because this is a 7 or a 6 passenger vehicle, let me hop into the second and the third row and see how the space compares. Now, hopping into the second row of this vehicle, the second row honestly feels almost as spacious as the front seats. This one here has the captain's chairs. Most of them will have the captain's chairs because this is either a 7-seat or a 6-passenger vehicle, which this one here is the 6-passenger, so you can get the bench where the back, the third row only seats 2. Now the seats themselves, they're actually a power seat. They are power recline, they power move forward and back. The space is pretty good, although I will say that the new X7 offers a very good amount of space as well. I'll have to actually drive the two back to back to be able to compare the space. You have things like rear seat vents, you have your own set of climate controls, you've got heated rear seats back here, a cup holder. And then this right here is a little area where you can get a tablet style screen that kind of goes into this little area here where you can also take the screen out to kind of prevent thieves from looking at the system. But overall, you know, the space, you know, I wouldn't hesitate to sit back here on very long trips. And honestly, you may have people preferring to sit back here as opposed to the front seats because the room is just so plentiful. And you also have this nice little pass through here when you have the captain's chairs to get to the third row. But the big test with these vehicles is the third row. So let me hop back there and see how the space is. So getting into the third row seat of the new GLS is actually pretty easy, although because these seats are power, it just takes a little bit longer. Mercedes puts this little switch over here. Just kind of pull and hold this switch. You can see the seat will electrically move forward. And once you've held it for a little bit, it'll just keep moving forward. But once it does move forward, you can see it gives you a pretty good amount of space to get back into the third row. Mercedes-Benz says this will be able to hold full-size adults back here because the second row seats are electrically adjustable. Now let me get back here, which honestly, there is really good amount of space to get back here. So that makes me happy. Now, this seat is now all the way back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it forward just slightly. Now it is going to take up some room from that second row, but once you've moved the seat forward just a little bit, you can see there is a pretty good amount of space back here. Now my knees are against the seat back, so you can move this up a little bit more, but the floor is nice and flat. I have pretty good amount of headroom here, which is good. The materials back here are all hard touch plastic, but they did add a couple of things. Heated rear seats are now available on the third row, which is a first. I've never seen heated seats back here. And then you also have 2 USB-C ports and then a cup holder over here. There is some leather stitching down here, but it's hard touch plastic over here. So overall, this is definitely a pretty good size third row, but just keep in mind if you guys are looking for 8-passenger seating, it's not available in the new GLS. Now this vehicle will be going on sale by the end of the year with no pricing yet announced. The old model started at just under or in the mid $60,000 range, which I imagine this one will be probably more expensive. You could probably easily load this thing up to be almost 6 figures if you guys want to go for the V8 model. For Redline Reviews at the 2019 New York International Auto Show, I'm Sofyan Bey.